I'm back. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ESC Fan TV on a slightly later time of Monday, not a Sunday, due to Easter. And I hope everyone that celebrates it had a lovely celebration, how they chose to do it. But we are back to discuss 6 more songs competing in semi-final 2. As you can see, I've got my lovely panel here. Let's go straight into it, all the way from Cyprus. I believe the first time we've seen him this year in 2023. It's Open.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm so happy to be back. And even I can't remember, Elliot, when was the last time I was on the show. But let's see if this is not the last one. Please keep me in.
Well, your performance will be graded tonight. We'll have a decision by the end of the show. Moving on from the Let Me Be the One blog and radio show, we have Martin. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Looking forward to this evening. Got a couple of my favourites, so be looking to talking about those and all the others, of course.
Brilliant. And also, back as always, we have Sean. How are you?
Hello, all good here, yeah, thank you. I had no Easter eggs, can you believe it? None. Outrageous. Didn't even get one from the beloved. Never mind. But anyway, lots of good songs to talk about. Should be good, this.
Yeah, I didn't get any either. I would complain to my mum, but she's about 200 miles away. So, yeah, moving on. And finally, we have Tristan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm really looking forward to tonight. There's 3 of the songs are in my top 10. So, unfortunately, 2 of the songs are in my bottom 3 as well.
And that's what I love about the show, a bit of diversity across the board. And my co-host Tom will be here very shortly. He is just currently sorting some things out and just running a little bit behind time. But, you know, we move without him. I'm sure you'll...
You tell the school teacher off for being late then?
No, we do not get to tell the school teacher off for being late. Stop being naughty. And hello to everyone in the chat room. Make sure you send your comments in and we'll put them up on screen as and when they fly in. And when Tom gets here, that'll be delegated to his job. But moving on. Now, for those who have not seen, we have a way of sorting this out this year. It's the Wheel of Fortune, as I like to call it. So we've got all 6 countries that we're discussing tonight, which is Estonia, Poland, Belgium, Greece, Iceland, Cyprus. And we spin the wheel, and whatever it lands on, we talk about. So let's spin the wheel. And the first country we're talking about tonight is... Okay, I didn't rig this. It is Cyprus with Andrew Lambrou and Break a Broken Heart. Yes, the man who last year tried to go for Australia, is going for Cyprus this year. As we all know, he's currently getting ready to fly over to Europe for Eurovision. He's currently still in Australia, but he said he should be flying over in the next week to 10 days. I think we have to start with our Cypriot of the panel. Go on, Oban. Talk about your entry. Why is this going to win? Why is this that? Okay, it's not a showgirl this year, but it is kind of like a showman. Basically, like most Cypriot entries, he's not afraid to get his body out.
I mean, he has a lot to show. Let's put it that way. So I don't know why he should win. I tried all the gimmicks in the marketing sphere. That I tried everything in the rule book to make it sell to everyone, and yet we fail every year. So it turns out that there's no word that I can say that force people to vote for us. But anyway, I mean, what can I say? Every year I am as passionate as the year before, so there's nothing changes from my perspective. But in all fairness, I do believe that we have another good year, another good song, very high quality songs. Yes, I get all the criticisms that sometimes the lyrics is too cheesy, but for this year especially, I feel like the song was made for him, and it feels like that he was part of this creative process. They specially tailored the song, the vocals, the build up to his voice, and he seems like to feel relating to the song, and I love the fact that he's trying to do a low budget scenic, that doing all this TikTok covers on his TikTok account, and all these like Loreen covers and old covers and like Ukraine covers and so on. So I feel like we finally have a contestant, since Eleni that feels like he is committed to the Eurovision. He's not there to boost his career. He genuinely feels like that, as he loves to be part of Eurovision, and he seems like he's enjoying to be part of this. He seems genuine about his journey of Eurovision. He's passionate about it, and yeah, and I'm really happy because that we get to see him hit those notes on his social media. And I also want to emphasize that I don't think there's anyone put effort as much as him. He sings 3 minutes nonstop. He doesn't take a break. There's no musical break. He sings constantly 3 minutes and different range of vocals. Vocally, he's the most hardworking contestant this year. So, guys, there's a good reason for you to vote. You always wanted us to send you something vocally good, and there's your chance to vote for it.
Thank you, Open. And some eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed Tom has entered the chat and the live show. How are you, Tom?
Exhausted. That's the honest truth. Someone decided to do a spin class with a hangover. It went as well as you would like it to go, I suspect. But it was fine. We lived.
Choices were made, mistakes were made. We live and learn.
Exactly. No, it's nice to see you discussing Cyprus. I quite like their entry this year. I think they're going to do well.
Is that your review of the song, or would you like to expand on that, Tom?
Oh no, I was going to say I think it's a definite qualifier. I think it's probably going to come in mid-table. Nice song, a bit different to previous years, obviously, because it's got a male singer. Yeah, I quite like it. There you go. It's my brief review, whilst I now catch my breath, and I'm going to catch up with all these lovely comments in the chat room as well. Back to you, Elliot.
Perfect. So as we said, as it was announced before Andrew was even confirmed, or the song was confirmed, it was said that the writers of this were Thomas Steingard, Jimmy Jolka, and Jimmy Johnson and Marcus Winter-John. Those trio obviously are known for Melody Festivalen songs, and Jimmy Jolka recently had 6 of the 12 songs in Melody Festivalen wrote by him in the final, a record in Melfest. Sean, let's come to you. People are saying the song is going to struggle to stand out, and we have mentioned in the past about Cyprus and Greece and other nations just borrowing Swedish songwriters and just getting them to send a song with a singer attached to it, and that's it. Although its commercial appeal is there with Andrew, do you think the fact that it's just a song wrote by anyone in anywhere, that could be its downfall, or will that actually help it? Because it's got that broader feel.
I think it does have a broader feel. I don't mind it. It just means that more good quality songs get out there through different avenues. You know, at the end of the day, what would have happened if we didn't have this song? It might be something that wouldn't have been quite as appealing, because I think this song is pretty damn good, to be honest. I mean, Cyprus have sent some really cracking songs over the previous years, but this song this year, this guy, Andrew's got such a stunning... I've got goosebumps just thinking about his voice right now, because the range in his voice and the power in his voice and the subtlety in his voice. If anyone is on TikTok, follows him on TikTok, is covering loads of this year's songs, just singing them perfectly. It's absolutely stunning to listen to and stunning to look at, of course, let's face it. It's a really strong ballad. I think it's going to do really, really well. When that chorus drops, and it hits that high note, I mean, just wow. It's just, I think this is going to go down the storm in Liverpool. I really, really do. Yeah, I really, really like it. I think this is a really good song for Cyprus, and I think it'll be really quite high up in the leaderboard. It's easily going to qualify, and quite high up on the left-hand side of the leaderboard in the final.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Martin, let's come to you. Obviously, as we know, Andrew tried to represent Australia last year. He placed 7th in the final, on the national final with Electrify. Now, that song didn't really show off his vocal a lot, or was a lot lower, and this has a lot of high notes. Obviously, with Greece and Australia in the semi-final, it kind of gives him a slight, I don't say advantage, but helping hand to get into that final. But do you see, regardless, this song being one of the 10 that we'll see on Saturday night from the semi-final?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will get through just purely because of Australia and Greece being there as well. So I think that's pretty, fairly decent points total they're going to get there. The only downside with Cypriot entry so far for me is the fact we haven't heard it live, and it's only them and Israel that we haven't heard a live version of. So we do know that he can sing. We do know how well he sung in Australia. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a decent enough track. The video doesn't really give much away. I'm not sure why he's going out with Mia Dimsic from last year on his video, and why she was so pissed off with him giving her a necklace. But there you go. And yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not one of my top songs. It's fairly well down. It's not a bad song. It's just something that just doesn't stand out for me as against most of the other entries this year. But yeah, I think it's pretty safe. It's going to get through to the final. Yeah, I'd probably say right-hand side somewhere, pick up the same points from Greece and Australia yet again, maybe the rest of the world, and sort of keep out the bottom five, I think.
Perfect, thank you. And Tristan, just round us out. Obviously, in the last 10 years, Cyprus has only been in the top 10 once. That was with Eleni Forella, obviously. Can this get them another top 10 finish? Because when we look at it, it has been 5 years, and they have been trying, but more often than not, they do just fall shy.
No, I don't. I mean, it could maybe qualify, as Martin said, thanks to friendly voting. I don't think it really stands out enough. I mean, I think it's because it's the jury only in the semi-final. I don't know whether. I'm not sure. I mean, it's he's got an amazing voice, but there's already another song in this semi-final, which we'll be coming to later, Iceland, which is a very, very similar sort of theme of empowerment and not wanting to have anything to do with one's former ex or one's former lover. And I think if those two are up against one another, sort of like the Cyprus song and the Iceland song, I think Iceland probably would be the one that would get through out of those two. Obviously, we'll come to Iceland later, but I don't know. There's a lot of songs, isn't there, this year about people being annoyed with their ex relationships. Obviously, we've got the UK. Why I Wrote a Song. We've got Iceland as well, and this one. And I don't know, it's a little bit depressing. I want a bit more peace, peace, love, love, really, in Eurovision. It's quite angry, this song. So no, it doesn't really do it for me. But there is an audience out there for it, and I'm sure that they will vote for it.
Thank you, Tristan. It is interesting you mentioned about Iceland because they are going back-to-back in the semi-finals. Cyprus goes before Iceland in songs 6 and 7. I actually don't mind this song. For me, as everyone knows, I don't always love the Cypriot entry. I do feel like some years they phone it in, but I do like this. There's potential for this. I think it's one which staging will elevate it, as and when we see it. But I do worry about Andrew's voice purely because I know it sounds good on TikTok and everything, but in the national final last year, I wasn't wowed and I found him quite static. And that's when he had quite a clubby pop song. He didn't do the most in what I wanted. So I'm a little bit, not on edge, that's the wrong word, intrigued about what he's going to do on stage and how he's going to deliver it. I mean, yes, he's nice to look at, let's not deny it. So that will help in some regard. But if it all falls right for him, I can see this sneaking a top 10. We normally do have a song about 9th or 10th, which doesn't set the world alight, but normally does get enough to sneak in. Like we've seen it with Lithuania in 2016, Greece in 2021, Stefania. Like none of those songs set the world on fire, but they did enough to sneak a 9th or 10th place. And I think Andrew could do the same. So yeah, but it's definitely going to be a case of things need to fall right for him, and it's going to be his voice and the staging all being cohesive for that to happen, I think. But it's definitely not a bad song. I just wish Cyprus just used more Cypriot people with their music. And I say this every year, and I say this about Greece. Like, I want more of that because diversity. But as Sean said, the song may never see the light of day otherwise, so we need to be grateful for that. Tom, what is the chat room saying about Cyprus?
So the chat room seemed to be quite interested in his appearance. Vanya says he's easy on the eyes too, so that's always a plus. And Jude is quite intrigued by Martin's voice as well. It would appear. David's got a positive review on Cyprus as well on his blog. Thomas is going to be voting for Cyprus. Seems to be a little bit of tactical voting going on with Oban there. Very decent ballad. Really nice song. I mean, people genuinely want this to qualify. If we look at odds checker on Eurovision World, the interesting thing is Cyprus actually is, and I know post, pre-rehearsals, it doesn't really count for that much, but it's third in the odds to qualify. 83% chance of qualification. People were mentioning, or Tristan made the comparison with Iceland earlier. Iceland are way on the outside there. They're 14th in the odds, 37% chance of qualifying, which I think could be quite interesting. There we go. Back to you.
Thank you. And that is Cyprus done. We wish Andrew all the best of luck and a pleasant flight from Australia to Liverpool. Because, look, I've had a week off. Sorry, guys. Will this qualify? Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no, and in the middle if you're not sure. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so we've got a variety of yeses and 2 maybes. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Andrew. But like I said, I just hope he has a nice flight over here from Australia and the jet lag isn't too bad for him when he arrives. But we go back to the Wheel of Fortune to decide our next country. And it is going to be... I see now they're both in blue, I can't tell. Estonia. Yes. Estonia.
It's Martin's favourite.
Hey, don't spoil it. Let him tell us himself why it's his favourite in a minute. But yes, Alika with the...
Why it was his favourite.
Anyway, Alika with the song Bridges. Won SD Lau, was a big name, one of the biggest names when she got announced in that competition. The song has been co-produced by the producer of Arcade. Yes, Mr. Walter Hardy himself. Fun fact, as you can see on screen, she has the exact same birthday as Alessandra from Norway. Date and year, so they're exactly the same age, which I think is quite cute. Martin, let's start with you. When we even covered SD Lau, you were a big fan of this song. Is this still high in your estimations heading into the contest now?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, right from the beginning, seeing the preview videos from SD Lau before they'd even sang it live, I thought this is the best one. And for me, it was a good competition in Estonia this year. But yeah, it was still my favourite all the way through. And she's really knocking out the park in the promo videos, promo party. She's, perfect vocals. Slightly, it'll be interesting to see what the staging's like. The piano apparently has been removed from Tallinn Airport to go via there, sort of checking over and then go to Liverpool. And apparently she's not going to have the cello player that she had in the audience in SD Lau. So it looks as though it's all about her. I mean, if you like her style of singing and the ballad itself, it's amazing. I mean, I've got it as my overall 5th and top of this semi-final. The only slight doubt would be because we haven't got juries, but I don't think that matters because even the public vote for great vocalists who produce a power ballad. And I think it'll be one that will go through the semi-final, maybe not near the top of the semi-final, but when it gets to the final, all of a sudden it will get a better position in the final because you've got the music professionals going, wow, that's a great voice, and voting for it. So I still think this could be Estonia's a good chance for them to get a top 10 this year.
Perfect. Thank you, Martin. I'm just going to jump in here and say I kind of echo a lot of what Martin said from first listen. I really enjoyed this. It was, for me, the obvious winner. And I said this on the show months ago before the final. I said, if she's in the super final, she is going to win. The fact that she did win the jury as well kind of reinforced that. For me, it's my third favourite of the year. I love this. It's brilliant. I like how it's a tale of looking back, but she's taking accountability for her actions, and she's actually repairing the damage instead of burning bridges. Because when we hear something like this, we think it's pushing someone away, but it's actually like there's always time to get back on track, and she's actually trying to fix the damage which has happened, which is, I think, is a very interesting take and twist on something that has been done a lot. As someone said, it's a ballad with not much going on, but the lyrics aren't your atypical ballad, and that's what I like. She's got a phenomenal voice, and I agree with Martin and what Tom said last week. If a ballad is good enough, people will vote for it. People don't always downvote a ballad. Some people prefer ballads to a lot of pop songs, and I think this will get through. Probably not winning the semi-final by any stretch of the imagination, but once we get to the final, the juries will have this, top 5 potentially, because it's a very clean, sober ballad, performed very well. And sometimes, as Mark said, the music professionals will look for that in a sea of crazy, in a sea of like a lot of lights and everything and louder songs. This will cut through and this will stand alone. And I don't think, even if you put on like Sweden next to it, it will harm it, because there's that juxtaposition. But yeah, I love this. I listen to it a lot. It's my 3rd favourite of the year. And if by some miracle she did go and win it, I would be very happy and would look forward to visiting Estonia next year. It's going to be a big ask, but I'm not going to say this song can't win in a few months' time. For those reasons, the jury could absolutely love this. We don't know. But yeah, I love this song and I want it to do very, 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 very well. And it's brilliant. Sean, let's move on to you. I did see someone in the chat room saying that it wasn't clicking for them just because they dubbed it as an overdramatic ballad. I can see why people would think that. But where's the song sit for you and the performance?
I think it's a very, very strong ballad. I think this and Lithuania's song stay are the strongest 2 ballads in the competition this year. Alika's got a lot of very strong voice. She has a really powerful performance, full of light and full of shade. And I think I just don't know. I really think this is going to do really, really well. It's definitely going to qualify. When it comes to the grand final, I just echo what you guys said with the juries. When the juries are involved, this is going to be way up there in the jury vote, without shadow of a doubt. And I love the big, powerful note at the end of the song, a big long note at the end. I think she delivers that well. I'm really looking forward to seeing this on the stage live in Liverpool. I think it's an easy qualifier. Definitely left-hand side of the board. Could it win? I think it's a bit of an ask, considering some of the songs in the competition this year. But yeah, a really good song. And like you, Elliot, I'd love to visit Estonia next year. Let's see what happens.
Thank you, Martin. Oben, let's come to you. As I said, Alika, very young, but I said this has got Walter Hardy, the arcade producer, on this. Can you hear similarities between this and Arcade, or is this, say, just a standalone power ballad done exceptionally well?
I mean, I can't compare those two. I think it's 2 different. For me, there was a with the Arcade, there was a character. There's something very unique about Arcade. It wasn't every other ballad, male ballad, but with Alika, bridges, I get it, powerful vocals, powerful lyrics, instrumentalization is beautiful, but absolutely lacking character. It's just, in 5 years' time, when I look back, I will definitely never remember this song. When I try to find where this would fit, I would like to compare it with 2019 Serbia, Kruna, right? There was a character to it. It's a single, powerful female vocal, a ballad, but there was character to Kruna. Everything about Bridges it's good. It's not bad. It should qualify, considering every other song in the semi-final. There's a place for her in the final for sure. But in a few years' time, we will not listen back. We will need to look for what was Estonia back in 2023. It would take a minute for us to try to remember what was the song. And unfortunately, it lacks the character for me.
Okay, there. So Tristan, just round this out for us. Oben's saying it lacks character. Do you see the character in Alika?
Oh my God, I love this song so much. It's my number 2 after Spain. Spain's my favorite. This is my second favorite. I love it. I will certainly be remembering this forever. It will be. It is. It reminds me of Baba Pravi Voila. It has the same quality. That beautiful power ballad, and that came second, I think, or third. I think it was second. It was. This could do the same. It is just as good. It is just as powerful. And then the amazing, so like the instrumentalization, where it goes da 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 da. It like takes you up and down and up and down. It's a real journey. It is wonderful, and it's a wonderful tune. And I'm really sad to hear that she's not bringing the cello, because I having seen her on the pre-parties, she's nailed it every time. But I just remember her performance in the ESC final, where she comes out onto that catwalk area and sort of addresses the cellist, and that was so powerful. So I really do hope that maybe that they might change their mind. It's probably too late for that now, but it would just be fantastic. I just thought that where she sort of like addresses the cellist and sort of like almost shouts at the cellist. It's just fantastic. It's for me, it's the best ballad. It's definitely the best ballad since Barbara Pravi Voila, and and in the top 5 best ballads of the millennium.
Thank you, Tristan. Tom, round this out for us and with your thoughts on Estonia, and what are the chat room saying about Alika and her chances?
Do you know what? The chat room are really positive about this. Potential top 10 in the final. Nice ballad, catchy part, calm part, favourite mix. Lots of praise for her voice. Voice is amazing, great singer, one of the best ballads of the year. Brilliant song, brilliant artist. I am really excited for this song. And I'm really excited to actually see the staging for it, because I have in my mind how I think the staging should be done for this. Because if you look at the music video, they have the rose petals that fall onto the piano as she's playing and things like that, which is absolutely stunning and beautiful. And I'd like to see something like that in Liverpool, but I wouldn't want to see it on the screens at the back with like falling rose petals kind of like projected onto a screen. I'd like to actually see them kind of falling from the sky on the stage in Liverpool. I'd like to see them get the audience to get their phones on at some points to sort of like produce some amazing lighting effect as well there. And I think this could do really well. And this goes back to what I was saying last week, is that people do vote for ballads. If you have the right ballad that hits right, people pick up the phone and vote for them. And I think this is going to be one of them. And I would underestimate it at your peril this year, because I think Estonia have a very strong song there, which has potential to probably, for some people out there, it's going to slip right under their radar as it carves its way into the top 10 in May. There we go.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Tom. And just to round this out, as we do with every song, do we see Alika and Bridges in the final? 3, 2, 1, show of hands. Yeah, a full house there. We all expect to see Estonia in the grand final on Saturday, which is brilliant. And let's hope she can. But then we move on to our third song of the evening. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? Yes, I don't know. And we're going to Iceland. Iceland with Dilja and the song Power. It's next. She won the song for Keppnin. I am very proud because this is the one national final where I got it right. When I heard all 10, I said she would win. I said it on the show, and I was right. It's the one I got right all year out of 19 national finals. So I'm taking it and running. It's a win in my eyes. But yes, Dilja, she is off the Eurovision Power. It's her debut single. Talks a lot to say about empowerment and walking away, and doing her own thing and taking her own flowers and all that lovely stuff. Martin, let's start with you. There has been, for lack of a better word, worry and criticism about the repetitiveness of the song and some of her vocal choices in the live performance at Song Bekennen. But do you still see this making the final, or is this one which could potentially fall?
Difficult to say, really. I mean, to be fair, she probably was the only real choice in Iceland, so you're pretty safe tipping her to win. And the performance-wise and energy-wise, she's incredible. You know, the performance of just her on the stage singing, moving around, kicking around on the floor, you know, absolute ball of energy. And watching some of the promo parties, the vocals are decent. She has gone overcooked it occasionally, so I think she'll obviously bear that in mind when she's at Eurovision. It'll be interesting to see what the staging's like, because we've only ever seen her on her own going around the stage, so she will look totally different to everybody else. And the very least anybody will say is, wow, you know what, look at her move around like that on her own, no support, no help at all. I don't know. I think this is could be going through, might not go through. I think it's sort of very, you know, on the day. It's a song that's memorable, but as you say, it is quite repetitive. Is that going to matter in semi-final 2? It could be one of those that sneaks in 9th, 10th, I think, or it could equally just miss out and Iceland don't get to the final. That'll be the first time for a little while, won't it? So.
Yeah, so they've had a pretty good record so far in qualifying for the final in the last few years, but as it was put on screen, last year was their lowest ever placing in a grand final, the sister. Sean, let's come to you. As you said, last year, Iceland only managed to get 23rd. Can you see this getting to the final and surpassing the bottom 4?
No, sorry. I mean, it's an okay song, very middle of the road for me. I mean, Christ, I'll have a pint of what she's having. Good heavens. I mean, what is it? Rocket fuel or what? I've not watched any of the pre-parties that have been streamed online purposely because I'm going to Amsterdam next week. I don't want to ruin it for myself. But looking at the national final performance, she gives 100%, let's face it, on stage. I mean, she's probably had 9 vodka Red Bulls before she gets on there, but her vocal does seem to suffer a little bit from jumping around like a lunatic all the time. It really does. She gets out of breath towards the end. When I'm looking at the lineup of semi-2 and 10 are going through and, you know, the rest are going home, I can't see that she'll get through. I've got 12, 13 songs that I feel that are stronger than this one in semi-2. So I don't think it's going to be strong enough to qualify, unfortunately, unless they do something miraculous with the staging and she reins it back a little bit and they do something memorable. But apart from that, no, I can't see it qualifying.
Oh, no. Let's come to you now. As we said earlier, this is following Cyprus and it's going before Greece. So it's sandwiched between the Mediterranean countries. Now, both of them are sending a male ballad, and this is a female up-tempo song. Can that work for Iceland, or will this work against them on the Thursday night?
I think she is just she's just a strong act as her own, no matter where they would put her. I think this is for me. This is my 9th place for the semifinal. This is, I think. You remember that moment when Jessica Malboy in 2018 had this like dance like no one is watching moment, and this is like that's done right. I feel like she's just like she just have this energy, and she just freely, without like no concern what the people will say, what will people think about me. She's just letting it loose, and I'm here for it. And in all fairness, it's just such a relatable lyrics. It's just we all had that moment. It's like, you have no power over me, and she put it like the perfect way. For me, I feel like the song is very relatable. The way that she let the energy go is very relatable. wanted to just like, shake it off like exactly the way that she does. So I think a lot of people will think like, okay, she's like the next door girl in the neighborhood, like, your neighbor's daughter, you watch her grow up. I think she has a very warm energy, and I think it's no brainer. She should go through. This is Eurovision, it's always full of surprises. I think for me, it should sail through the final, but will it do better than last year in the final? Not sure. I hope she brings something a little bit more extra than she did in the national final that will help her to do better than last year. So I'm here for her.
Thank you. Tristan, let's come to you now. As you said, she's alone on stage. She's bouncing around. Obviously, we're a televote only semi-final, so this is quite an upbeat song as well.
Yep.
Can that all help her get through, or will people just look at this and think, it's a bit manic, I don't know what's going on, and then put it 4th or 5th? But as we know, in Eurovision, you don't really vote for your 4th or 5th favourite. You might stick to 2 or 3.
No, I think it'll get through. It's definitely got it's one of the dancier numbers. It's got quite a dirty sort of bass sound. It's nice. If people have sort of recently gone through a breakup, then they'll connect to it. And I think that they may connect to it more than the song that preceded it from Cyprus, which is also a similar, as I said, a similar topic. I just think I think she's got a good voice. That little power thing is going to stick in people's memories when they then hear the reprise afterwards, and I'm sure they'll have that power in that little snippet, and people saying, "Oh yeah, I like that one." I can definitely see it going through. I think it's in my 8th or 9th place in the semi-final, and it will deserve to go through. It's a good song.
Thank you. And Tom, let's round this out. As Ian said, she has got great energy on stage, which would be good for the people to see for the first time on the Thursday night. Is that a blessing for her? Is that something she needs to keep? And can you see this making the final?
Oh dear. Okay, here's my view, right? It's a decent song. I wouldn't say it's a good song. I would say it's a decent song. It's a decent song with a lot of energy. If you look at her national final performance, it was just her on stage by herself with very little else to energize the song through. I'll be honest, it reminded me of James Newman and 2 trumpets. And that's the vibe I get. Sorry, I just think it's going to fall on its ass. Because she has a lot of energy and stuff like that, but there's no one to play off against. She doesn't play off against the crowd. She basically plays off against thin air. It's a definite non-qualifier for me. I think they're very much on the subs bench this year, unless they're going to drastically alter what they do in Liverpool and chuck some backing dancers there, try to make it come alive with energy. But at the moment, she's playing off of nothing, and it doesn't work.
Oh dear. Well, I'm going to counter that and say I actually really like this song. I don't know where I have it, like in my top 10 or anything this year, mainly because I've not done that in about a month. I really need to before we go to Liverpool. But it's definitely one that when it comes on, I keep it on. I like it. I like her. I like her energy. I like her vibe. I like what she's wearing. Will it qualify? That's where I'm not sure. I do think it's borderline. For those reasons of, like I said, it could come across manic, but some people might vibe with that. It's not crazy to the point where people see it as novelty, as opposed to some songs, I don't think we have a novelty song, but some could be definitely perceived as that. It's a hard one to pick out. Like, this is one of the few songs I can't really judge its success rate. I want it to go through. I do really like the song, and Iceland do feel like they are doing well in Eurovision at the moment. And if they don't this year, it will be a shame. But it is hard to predict with Dilja and how this will do. But I do really like it. Is this a song that I would vote for in the semi-final? Yes. This is definitely one that I would vote for. I think there's three I would actually pick up the phone for, and this is one of them. Unless something happens on the night and someone else takes that vote off her. But I would love to see this in the final. May get a bit forgotten in the final, granted, but I still want to see it there. Right, before we round this out, I know what Tom's vote is going to be. Do we see this in the final? Yes or no? 3, 2, 1. Stake your claim now. Oh, probably the most indecisive one we've had so far. So we've had a few yeses, a few maybes, and a few nos. So we'll have to see what happens for poor Dilja in a few weeks' time. But 3 down, 3 to go. Poland, Greece, or Belgium. Where are we going next? And it is Belgium. Off to Belgium we go. So this is Gustaph. He won the first, as I call it, official national. No, it's not the first. The third national final of the year. Very weird. I know we're having 3 before even the mid-January was over. Winning the national final by a single point after getting a monumental televote score in that national final. I am going to start this off. I am so glad people are finally seeing the hype behind this song, because I said this back in January about it's an old school 90s house bass line in a live arena in Liverpool. It's going to do fantastic. He's got a phenomenal voice. It comes alive on stage. Granted, in studio, it's fine, but on stage, it is brilliant. And people are finally grasping that, oh, this is a good song. I do think it's partly because they've got over the heartbreak of Shireen and Gala. But as I said, you need to take a song out of a national final the minute it's won and put it up goes against, not what it was against. I really, really love it. I don't want to say guilty pleasure, that's the wrong word, but I feel like I shouldn't like the song, but I can't help but bop along to it, to be honest. Like I said, just ditch the ruffles for a bigger hat and I'll be happy. But he is definitely a man that dances to the beat of his own drum and his own style, and I think that's fantastic. And I see this in the final. I don't know how it'll do in the final, but I can definitely see if this gets drawn first half opening the final, because I don't think it's a winner. It's a bit there in the final, but I think it should be in the final. Partly for his reaction if he qualifies, because if his reaction when he won was anything to go by, it'll be priceless. But yeah, that's me. I think Belgium this year is a phenomenal song, and I will be cheering for it in the final. Martin, let's come to you. Surprise winner in Belgium, according to the fans, but the public really loved him. He's done this twice before as a backing vocalist in 2018 and 2021. He's now going for himself as the lead artist. Does that previous experience give him an advantage over the others in the semi-final?
Yeah, possibly. Also, he's got one of the backing singers with Hooverphonic as well, and I think she's done some other things. So they're very experienced people on stage there. But the main advantage is it's a song that you hear it and instantly you remember it. It's an earworm. It's infectious. It's catchy. It's fun. Everyone in Liverpool will probably be dancing to it and singing along to it. That will translate to the viewers on the screen. And yeah, I just love this. He's a great guy. He's got a great voice. If you're old enough to remember sort of 90s and that era, then some people say it's a bit George Michael. Some people say his voice is a bit Boy George, especially the hats as well. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we look back on the scores from the nations for the semi-final and that he gets quite a lot of top marks. And I think this will go down, especially in the UK. I wouldn't be seeing we can vote. I wouldn't be surprised if the UK give Gustaph top marks for this in the semi-final, easily going through to the final. As you say, I think unfortunately if he draws first half, he's kicking the final off. But otherwise, I think that Belgium are going to have a decent sort of mid-table result with Gustaph in the final. But yeah, this will be one to watch. And we're going to be going to Amsterdam at the weekend. I'm going to be at the press event. I'm sort of fingers crossed I have chance to chat to him, because I think it'll be a great interview.
We will be crossing our fingers for you as well, Martin. Ivan, let's come to you. I must admit, I saw the face you pulled when the wheel landed in Belgium. I need to investigate why. What was that about?
I have no idea what am I supposed to say after Gustaph, the next two songs. I needed a positivity between those two songs. But anyway, it wasn't about Gustaph. I'm in love with Gustaph. Even before the live show, before the Eurosong national final, when they were singing like live on tape performances, two songs, for me, it was the clear winner from the beginning. Every time there was a new song throughout this selection process, I was playing the music that my colleagues in my room. So far, Gustaph is the only song that they vibe to. Like, besides, I think like non-Eurovision fans, like die-hard Eurovision fan, this is the song that will be memorable to the mainstream viewer across all countries. Like, because there's a certain, in my opinion, there's certain genres popular in the certain parts of Europe, but this genre is popular across all Europe. So I think this song is a clear advantage, and I think it will be a dark horse, easy top 10. I mark my words, it's the easy top 10 for Gustaph, because it's such a positive vibe about him, and I love him. And I was so surprised when the song was selected, and our in-house Belgians were like pessimistic, and we start talk about it, and it's like, okay, now we are a little bit optimistic about our song, and I'm like, yes. So I love Gustaph. It's my second place, considering Cyprus is number 1 in the semifinal too, and you know what that might mean in other world. And overall, this year is my top 5, 5th place. So I am in love with Gustaph. I'm so hyped about him. And I think he is one of the few artists that will exactly sing like it's the recording.
Thank you, Oben. Tom, I was going to come to you now, because obviously there's this for me in saying it's a total cheese fest. Now, long-time viewers of ESC Fan TV will know Tom likes a bit of cheese, likes a bit of camp, and anything like this will get him running onto the dance floor at Euro Club. Now, I don't want to make an assumption, but I do assume this is something that you may have been dancing to in your younger years, back in the 90s, when this popular that music was around. So is this the sort of song that will get you straight from the bar to the Euro Club dance floor in 3.4 seconds?
3.4? You think I'm slow, don't you? Crikey. I love this song. I think this song is absolutely great. I think it's an absolute firecracker. I think it's one of those ones that is going to probably surprise some people, because they're not going to quite believe that a song like this could get through. But the thing is, these kind of retro 80s, 90s vibes, they're kind of in at the moment. You know, and people do want to, let's face it, world events all considered, want happy songs and things that they can just kind of just bounce around to for 3 minutes and escape reality. And do you know what? This serves it in absolute buckets. He is an example of someone who has energy, drive, and has everything on point. His national final performance blew Shireen out of the water, as far as I'm concerned. I think he is absolutely going to qualify for the final, and I think Martin's absolutely right. It's the type of thing that Britain will probably, or the United Kingdom will give 12 points to in semi-final 2, because people will go, oh, this is what it's all about. This is the party song, and that is what they'll want to vote for. Let's hope he gets second half in the final if he qualifies, because I reckon he's going to do really well.
Thank you, Tom. High praise there indeed. Tristan, let's come to you. So he is going in the semi-final song 5 in between Estonia and Cyprus.
Yep.
Quite surprised that he didn't open, because it's like one of the only really upbeat songs in that first half. Do you think he was placed there just to give that semi-final a bit of energy and a jolt to carry us through to the next few songs?
Yes, I think so. I absolutely love this song. It's never ever left my top 10. Obviously, it was in my top 10 for the first 10, but it's always there, and it's I've been championing it from the start. I know that if there's any problems with sound on stage, or in-ear microphone is not working or whatever, there's going to be two artists that are not going to be fazed by it, and they're going to deliver. One is Blanca Paloma from Spain, and the other one is Gustaph. Because looking at all the pre-parties and everything, where there's been sound problems, there's been issues, been bad microphones, there's been people like pointing at their ears saying that they can't hear themselves. So, and obviously everyone's had the same problems. Those two acts, Blanca Paloma and Gustaph, have always delivered a perfect performance. And it's so good that you think, my God, is this really them singing live? Because it just sounds so good, but it obviously is them singing live. I've got a little bit of money on him finishing top 5. I have also money on him winning the semi-final. I think he is a fantastic singer, probably certainly the best male vocalist this year. Maybe the best male vocalist we've had in a few years. It's fantastic, and it's the people like bitter about Shireen not winning, but that's going to be all completely forgotten, because no one knows who Shireen is when it comes to May. They only like the very ardent sort of like fans who watched the Belgian national final will be pissed off about it. Everyone's just going to embrace this, and it is going to be something that we're going to be hearing in Euro clubs for years to come. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Tristan. Sean, let's round this out for us. It's camp, it's cheese, it's everything fabulous and more. He's got hats for every day of the month, I think, and then 30 more. What do you make of Because of You and this song?
I was really, really tempted to just wind you all up and go, this is crap. This is terrible. But I just can't do it, because it is a delight. It really is an absolute delight to get a song that's just so retro yet so modern. It was a brilliant 3 minutes. I spent an excellent 3 minutes this afternoon dancing around my kitchen whilst making my cottage pie, and just, I must have looked a right idiot, but I don't care because Ian was at work. And it was just brilliant. I just really, really like this song. I know it got a little bit of stick when it won, within the Eurovision fandom when it won its national final, but I really, really like it. I love the early 90s sounding sort of music samples that are in there. I think they work really well. And he seems lovely. I really want to meet him. And yeah, he's got so many hats, but who cares? I think this is going straight through to the final, and it will do really well. And like what you all said, it's probably going to win the televote over here in the UK as well, in that semi. So yeah, it is fab. Love it. Love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Sean. High praise all around. Tom, is the chat room sharing that same high praise?
Of course they are. I mean, let's face it, I reckon it'll qualify. Think this will pull off a surprise, a bit like Romania last year. It's a cracking entry. Love it. Belgium is also a favourite here, and I love his hats. A fun 90s infused bop. I love this. It's cheese, but I'm not lactose intolerant. Fabulous. I think, let's face it, and also, here we go. Gustaph speaks to all of us, not old, not young folks. We can dream back to our youth. Yeah, do you know what? I think he is going to be an absolute hoot. And I can't wait to see it all unfold.
Brilliant. Like I said, we wish Gustaph all the best of luck in Liverpool. But before we round this out, I think I know what the answer is going to be. Do we think we'll see Belgium in the final? Yes or no? 3, 2, 1. Show of hands. Yeah, there we are. Full house of Belgium, saying we'll see that in the final. But we've got 2 songs left to go, so let's not waste any time and see. It's Greece or Poland we're talking about next, and it is Greece. Okay. So, Greece, with our youngest contestant of the year, that is Victor Vernacos, full name Victor Vernacos Jorgensen. Born and raised in Greece, had to a Greek mother and a Danish father, hence the Jorgensen in his name. He'll be competing with a song called What They Say. An internal selection of sorts. It was announced as 7 shortlisted acts, then 3, and then that went to a committee of a public and jury, and Victor came out on top. Let's go to Sean on this one first, actually. As I said, he's the youngest competitor, but a very mature sounding voice. A lot of people liken it to Shawn Mendes. What do you make of this song and its chances?
Oh, we had to start with me. I'm sorry, but this afternoon is the first time I've managed to listen to this song in full, and I made myself do it because I knew we were going to review it today. I'm not going to swear, but I hate it. And I'll tell you what it is. As soon as they start singing, and I've said this before about artists, the annoying accent. I just want to hear your natural singing voice, and he's putting this annoying accent on, and it really puts me off. It downright puts me off listening to that. I've always fast forwarded this track when it comes on in the car or when I'm listening to it at home. I always skip it, and it really does my tits in. I'm really, really sorry. It spoils what is a perfectly decent song. When I listen to the rest of it today, it could be a perfectly decent song. I mean, perhaps it's me just getting old. I mean, let's face it. I'm 51 now, nearly 52. I'm sure this is going to be popular with the youth. There's some kind of James Arthur vibe going on there a little bit. But I just find it very aggravating. I'm really sorry. I can't say anything more positive about it.
Oh dear. Not the start I anticipated, but we can't have all with all 37 songs. It's just a part of life, and that's what makes it so great. Oban, let's come to you. These are your neighbours. Do you see Cyprus giving us 12? And are you somebody who would vote for the song?
I just want to say, I think it was today or yesterday that OGAE Cyprus votes announced, and Greece barely got 1 point. And it's, in my opinion, it speaks volumes. Like when you don't get 12 points or 2 points from the Cypriot public, fandom, they would die hard support you no matter what you send. I don't know. For me, it's the attitude. Like, maybe I watched the interview before I listened to the song, and this approach is like, yo, dude, personality is just like, bless you, you know. The song, it's a sweet song. Let's put it that way. It's a sweet song. Bless his heart. He puts his heart and soul to it, to the lyrics. It's a singer-songwriter. He puts a hard work to his job. He likes singing. He's passionate about music. It's obvious. He has his heart in the right place. And I truly feel that it's going to be a huge experience for him. And I'm really happy for him that he's going to have this massive experience, such an early age. It will help him grow musically, professionally. And it's the greatest takeaway for him from this contest, I think.
Thank you, Oban. Martin, let's come to you. Now, I've always thought this is a song, as inoffensive as it is, could do well with a jury. The issue is there's no jury in the semi-final. Can this sort of mid-tempo Shawn Mendes-ish sort of song do enough in that semi-final to take a spot, or is this one that we could see going home on the Thursday evening?
Well, yeah. Firstly, Sean's a spring chicken because I'm 56, and I'm very surprised to hear about Open Cyprus not giving them any points, because I was going to say, well, at least they've got Cyprus in the semi-final. That's a bad thing as well. It's a very odd thing about this song, because obviously it was the video I saw first where he's in what appears to be the jungle on a sofa being pissed on by rain, and it's very weird. And then I put this on my show, and it's actually a better studio track on the radio than it is listening to the video, which is a bit unfortunate, seeing that you've got the visual bit coming up on Eurovision. That's going to be a real problem. I've seen him perform it live acoustically, and there is something about him that is watchable. When he was doing it live, it was just in sort of looked to be a bar somewhere in Greece. So there's potential that it could be better than I think it could be now. And it really is going to depend on the visuals. But I think there's probably too many other better songs that will appeal to the general public for this one to go through, which is a shame, because when you think about how well Greece has been doing over the last few years, all of a sudden it sort of seems to have stopped. But there you go, you experiment with different styles, and this is different to Stefania, it's different to Amanda Tenford, so if you take a chance, sometimes it doesn't work. And I think possibly for this year for Greece, it's not going to work, and they might not make the final.
Thank you, Martin. As you said, they're coming off the back of 2 top 10 finishes back to back with Stefania and Amanda. It is very different to Amanda's song, I'll say that much. I don't think we're going to have bleeding chairs on stage either. That staging is still a bit weird for me. A year on, as amazing as Amanda was, I'll say on first listen, wasn't wowed. Even now, not wowed. His voice doesn't match his face. It's not the only time like that. Switzerland, I think, is the same thing, where you don't expect that voice coming from that face. But I just can't get into it. And I think this is where the lyrics and his age work against him, because it's just when he says the lyric, "I've got too much on my plate," I just kind of sit back and laugh and go, "You're 16. What in your life have you got that is no disrespect to anyone of any age, but it's a bit like, I'm 30. I've got a lot going on." And when I was 16, the most thing I had to worry about was my GCSEs. When I look back, there wasn't much to really trouble me. Now, I don't know Victor's life and what he's been through, but he said he wrote this a few years ago before Eurovision. So I'm just intrigued about, is this a song that's thinking back to feeling over about the pandemic? Well, because I just don't know what teenager has those sorts of issues that are going to connect to a worldwide audience of all different ages. I understand the radio appeal. It is a radio appeal song, but I don't think that's how a televote votes. It's how a jury votes. It's not how a televote votes. I can see this finishing 11th. I can see this sadly missing out. And it's a shame, because like I said, he's only 16, and that's going to be hard if that happens for him. But this is also why I think we shouldn't let 16-year-olds compete in the contest, and the age should be raised. But that's a whole different story. I'm just not invested in this song. For me, it's just inoffensive, middle of the road, fine. There's nothing that's gravitating me to it. And I would say as a final point, I do love he did an interview where he was asked, what advice would you give other people who are young and want to get into Eurovision? And his response simply was, write a good song. Nothing else, just write a good song. And I guess he's not wrong there. But yeah, Greece. Yeah, I understand taking a risk and experimenting, but I'm not sure if this is going to pay off. I could be wrong. They could have some amazing staging. I don't know. But it's definitely not one that I'm convinced we will see on the Saturday evening, sadly. Tristan, let's come across to you. As we're all a bit unsure on Victor's success rate, potentially.
Yeah.
Can you see this going through? I said he's part Danish. He's got Denmark in the semi-final, so that could also help him. But do you think they'll only get him so far, and you still think it won't be enough?
I don't think it'll be enough. I mean, it's, unfortunately, I don't like it at all. It's my bottom of all 37. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry. I'm so young, but it's just exactly what Sean said. It's what I can't stand about it is that pronunciation of that oi, that sort of like affected way of singing. I know that lots of singers are doing that, but you can't actually understand him. I mean, there's one moment where he says, "Lost souls, make sure no one loses their way," and I'm sure he's saying "our souls, make sure that no one loses their way." And I actually had to look at the lyrics, and I got saying "our souls" and making sure no one loses their way, but he just doesn't really enunciate well, maybe it was our souls, and he was forced to change it because of obscenity or something. I don't know, but it's just meh. I'm sorry, because I normally love the Greek songs. I love Stefania, love Tedford, but not this year, I'm afraid. Greece.
Thank you, Tristan. Tom, let's round it out. What do you think of what they say? And speaking of what they say, what are the chat room saying?
So the chat room, let's face it, it's the comments haven't exactly flooded in on this one. So we've got a few. You can tell the song's been written by him. It's quite endearing. It's a decent song, but totally forgettable. Doesn't seem to sing it well. Then we've got teenagers have problems too, you know. It could be an entry for DMGP, totally nice and middle of the road. Could he be representing Denmark next year?
Is that a good or a bad thing that could be a Dance Winning Grand Prix entry? I can't tell.
Well, you tell me. So the vibe I get from this, so it's got quite a nice driving beat, but it takes about a minute to get there. It's a song that almost has an identity crisis, I think, in that it starts off very slow and ploddy, and then you get a nice driving beat that comes in. It kind of makes you want to clap along, and then it almost slows down and almost wants to be anthemic by the time you get to the end of it. So it doesn't entirely know what it's going to be. The video doesn't really give any indications to the staging either, because I don't see them putting him in a sofa and just chucking loads of water over him on stage in Liverpool either. I get the vibe I'm getting is very much the same vibe I got with Germany's rock stars last year. And I think maybe that might be an influence on the staging. It's got potential. I think when you see the rehearsals on this, it might end up being a borderline qualifier. It depends what team he's got behind him. He's a 16-year-old singer. He's just starting out. He's written the song himself, which I think is probably why the song itself suffers its own identity crisis, which is probably reflective of his own identity crisis as a musician, starting to carve his own way out in the world. But let's face it, most people aren't going to do this analysis that I'm doing on it now. So, yeah, probably not going to qualify. It's okay. We'll wait and see.
Thank you, Tom. And just to round this out, team, do we see Victor Vernacos and what they say in the final? 3, 2, 1, show of hands. Oh, so Tom and I saying maybe, but the rest are saying no. So none of us are saying it's for certain. Oh dear. But one song to go. Let's find out what it is. And I will actually spin the wheel, given the backlash Stuart got for not spinning the wheel last week. I will do it properly. And it is, lo and behold, Poland.
I'm shocked.
I know. Who saw that coming? Right. Poland, Blanka, solo. Quick disclaimer, because I'm going to have to say this. We will not be talking about the allegations or anything regarding that with this song. This is just for the audience. We're purely going to stick to Blanka and the song and what we think of it as a song. I'm not going to add fuel to the fire of everything surrounding her, and the hate that she's gotten has been totally unwarranted and unfair. That being said, she was better than the televote winner vocally. Gladiator sounded like a mess, and I'm surprised that got the public vote winner, to be honest, because if that was going, I think it would say the same fate as this, which is this is going to go nowhere. Blanka, you seem sweet. You seem lovely. You're having a lovely time on stage with your girls on stage and like doing your little choreography, living your Ariana Grande moment. Love it. However, the song is not vocally challenging and she struggles. The song, the music video itself, as my friend very brutally said, looks like a Boohoo ad. Like it is going to be the sort of song you'd see on Love Island, and then she gets a contract and like, you know, she's walking around this lovely resort in her God knows what. but the song is just there. It's just inoffensive. It doesn't have any sort of key change or music change in the melody or a B chorus, or there's no change in this song after the first minute. It just is on loop. And that's its biggest issue. Like, you hear everything in that first minute and it doesn't even try to do anything to change it to keep you interested. And when a song is like that, your vocals have got to be spot on. And let's be honest, they weren't in the national final, but they could improve for Liverpool, but I'm not convinced. The sad thing is, the main thing I remember about this is what she was wearing and the fact she had her name in big lights, which at first I thought, because of the angle of the camera, looked like an overlay. And then I realized they were actually there. Like I said, I have a slight affinity to Poland for some reason. I do. And I always want to support them. I loved River last year. But this is just your average run-of-the-mill throwaway pop song, which sounds like it took 10 minutes to write. And then look, you see there, it's got about 5 or 6 people on that song. And this is where it comes back to my biggest bugbear in Eurovision. You do not need that many people to write a song. It's 07. And I said this about Adrenalina, where it had 11 songwriters. How does it take that many people to write something that's come out to sound so bland? I don't get it. A song never needs that many people. It never does. I want her to do well, but the song, in a competitive sense, is just not it. I don't think it will come last. It might come like 12th or 13th, but there's nothing that stands out about the song to push it into a top 10. I know it's got the UK and Lithuania voting, so it will get a few votes from there, but I just don't think it's got enough to make it into the final, unfortunately. A part of me wants it in the final due to the backlash she's got, and just to prove all those people wrong. I just don't think the song is there competitively, sadly. Now that's my moment out the way, and I stand by everything that I said. Sean, what do you think of Solo and Blanca and this performance? That face is not giving me hope.
Did you say me?
Yes, I said you.
Oh, sorry, you just broke up there for a second. Well, I'd just like to say, baby, it's kind of crazy. It's just a bit meh, isn't it? I love a good pop song, but this just isn't a good pop song. It's crap. Dan Rollinson just in the chat room just said, which is that I was going to say, that it belongs in junior Eurovision. That's what I think. It's just, yeah, that him. Hey, him, Dan. Hello, Dan. It's not going to set the world on fire, is it, in Liverpool? It's not. Is it going to quali? I don't know. Even if it does, it's going to be bottom of the pile in the grand final in Liverpool. I don't really have anything else to say about it, to be honest. It's just one of those that I skip. So, yeah, it's just a bit meh. Sorry.
Oh, dear. Martin, let's come to you next. So, as someone say, you have your own radio show. And they said this song's quite bouncy and offensive. So it does have a slight radio appeal there, but as someone has said, there's no real quality, to be honest. Is that its main issue? It's bouncy, it's inoffensive, you'll listen to it in the car, but it's a competition at the end of the day, and is there anything to make it stand out in the competition world?
Well, it will stand out if she sung it well live, and if the choreography is good, then it will stand out because there's nothing else like it. There's not another Latino beach song in the whole contest. So, but the thing is, will her vocals be better than they were in Poland? And will it look better choreographed than it was in Poland? That's my main issue. I mean, there's one, the biggest compliment she's had so far was during Chris Harms, the lead singer of Lord of the Losts. He did reaction videos to all the entries, and his comment was, "I'm sorry, I was distracted there by her butt," which basically was from the pop video. And yeah, she's a really attractive woman, and it could be good if she can nail the vocals for 3 minutes in the semi-final and the choreography looks good. There's a chance this could get through, but I'm not seeing it. But it sounds good on the radio because obviously she's in tune. You can't see what's going on. It sounds amazing, and yeah, I think it's one of those that will be there or thereabouts. It will fit in quite nicely to a Eurovision playlist because they're not huge numbers of this sort of song. But yeah, personally, I can't see it getting through at all. I think it's a year that Poland's going to sit out the final.
Thank you, Martin. Owen, let's come to you. Now, as you said, you love a showgirl, and she's given it a good try. But where on like the showgirl meter for you does this really sit, and can it surprise people? Can it do Eleni Ferreira and get to Liverpool and the rehearsal centre alike?
Ellie, let's not insult any other showgirls ever been on the stage of Eurovision. First of all, it's the same thing for Greece to get only 1 point from Cypriot OGE fans, right? For me to not like a showgirl pop diva. It's that unlikely. But first of all, I have to say, for whatever it's worth, right? I'm going to just say it. The Eurovision fandom is so toxic that's going to be the end of Eurovision one day. It's totally unnecessary, the hatred and these opinionated experts all over the internet, the way that they harass this poor girl is unnecessary. You just don't like it, just move on. There's nothing you can do, or you have absolutely no authority on this Eurovision Song Contest that you would passionately hate and promote your negative opinion on any social media. One thing. Second thing, she's trying to portray herself as a victim. Let's face it, there's a tiny shadow of doubt on your victory. There's the one thing that's the honest thing to do is just request a recount, request a revoting, or just step back, because I wouldn't like to have a slight doubt, shadow of doubt on my success. So there's a doubt, there's an accepted error, and she's still not taking grace. She's not addressing that, but she's blaming fandom for the result. So I think there is a negativity from both sides. That's both sides needs to look into them. But about the song, I mean, it's so outdated. Like, it's not vintage. It's not old school. It's a genre was tried to push for a couple of years back in 2000s, and it never worked, even those prime times of this genre. It only worked for Ina because that woman was trying so hard to put so many cultural aspects into these blunt pop songs, using interesting instrumentalization, using interesting, I don't know, DJs and so on and so forth. It only worked for her because she put so much effort for it to work. This song, it's so lazy. No, it feels like no one put any attention to any details. It's just a standard beat and one set of lyrics repeating over and over again, and that's it. So bless their heart, they're living their dream, and I wish for the best. But Poland is being very lazy, except last year, the river. For the last 5-6 years, they've been so lazy. It's unbelievable. Such a big country with such a great potential. They have so many great artists. There's so much money in that country. They're the rising power of Europe. They have all the tools to make a stance in this competition, but they're being so lazy. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Owen. Tristan, let's come to you. As it says here, in the previous 10 years, Poland have failed to qualify on 3 occasions and only placed inside the top 10 once, and that was with Mikael Spack. But does Owen have a point there? Is the issue that this song, for whatever reason, just lacks that spark of creativity? Because as I said, it's first minute and then it loops 2 more times. Is that its issue? It's missing that point of view, that point of reference that makes it stand out. Because you said there's not many female pop songs in this contest, but yet this is still failing to stand out.
It stands out for me, I'm afraid. It's I like it. It's actually my second favourite of the semi-final. And it's my 5th favourite of all the 37 songs. And that is my guilty pleasure, is the song which I keep hearing in my earworm in the back of my head. It's not. I know it's not a great song. I know it's cheesy. It's a bit like Sugar from last year. That was like a song that sort of like really shouldn't have qualified, but it did because it was catchy. And I think it's going to do another sugar. I think it'll qualify. I think it deserves to qualify. Obviously, the hatred that has come about is completely ridiculous, and most people will not have any idea about that when it comes to voting. And I really hope that it's going to qualify. I will be voting for it. I'll be voting for Poland and for Estonia because I'm in the UK, so I'll be able to vote for the semi-final, and I can't wait to put my vote to Poland because she really deserves it. It's a really fun song. There's nothing inoffensive with it, and it's catchy. And I when I heard the songs, I heard sort of like all of Poland, because it was just like the one show. I didn't actually hear any of the songs until I saw the national final, and it just whereas I'd obviously heard sort of like the Lithuanian song 3 or 4 times. Because there were all those heats and quarterfinals and semi-finals. Poland, just hearing it once, I remembered it, and I remembered it for weeks. And just like I'd wake up, solo, la 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 la, and I just like I hear it in my head all the time. So it's a catchy song, and it will resonate with people, and it will definitely qualify. And I hope she does very well and shows those haters the back door.
Brilliant. Thank you for everything to say. It's nice to get a lot of love there for Blanca as well. Tom, let's round this out. What's the chat room saying? What are your thoughts on Solo? Can she defy the fandom odds and be in that final?
Well, the chat room. It's a catchy bit of pop flim flam. Bouncy and offensive, but no real quality. Similar to the songs played on Turkish pop channels in the summer. Vanya said it's a summer party song, quite enjoyable actually. And you know what? I think Vanya's got a point with that, because I think it's the type of thing that if you were, I don't know, on a beach, in a beach bar somewhere, the sun beating down, and that was the background music and stuff whilst you're enjoying some cocktails and stuff like that, you'd probably, it's got a bit of a vibe for it. I mean, when this was played in the RBT at Boom Bang Bang a couple of weeks ago, let's face it, the crowd quite enjoyed it and were happily singing along to the solo bit, and they were bouncing along going solo. And I think it has got appeal. And I think people will get over, any discontent and stuff they have, because I think what people need to remember is that the fandom is quite narrow in some respects, and it broadens out. Normally, we're kind of hitting broadening time where people start to take more of an interest in the songs that are there, and more people get involved and things like that, and opinions diversify themselves. I mean, for me, it's not a bad song. It's not a good song. It's just kind of there, really. If I was someone who was picking up the phone, would I pick up the phone and vote for it? No, because I'm going to pick up the phone and vote for Gustaph. Would I be unhappy if it made it to the final? Not really. Or would I be bothered if it didn't make the final? Also not really. So I'm a bit indifferent on this one, really. I think it's one of the ones that it could qualify, it might not qualify. I mean, let's face it, they've got a 1 in 3 chance, haven't they, of not qualifying? We'll see what happens. Roll the dice, as they say.
And indeed, we shall see what happens. But before we go and end this on Poland, will we see this in the final? Yes, no, maybe. State your claim now, guys. Okay, so a bit of a spread. We'll see what happens. Like I said, we are just giving our opinions on the song. We do not endorse, as Ava said, any hatred to Blanca of any kind. We keep it strictly about the songs and not the artists themselves. Blanca does seem like a lovely girl and does not deserve what she has received. However, we are just talking objectively regarding the song in a competition and nothing to do with the artist, as we always do. But that is all 6. We have finished for another evening. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time, because next week we're all gallivanting around Europe in Amsterdam and London. If you see us, say hello, tell us nice things. Yeah, we love hearing and seeing you all in person. It's so you can put names to faces. And then in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back with the remaining 7 songs of semi-final 2, which will be a good show for me because I get to talk about my favourite song of the year. Yes, my number 1 of the year is coming up, and I'll let you think about who that might be. Sean is now going to look who's in the second half of semi-finals, so you're just trying to figure it out. But until then, it's time to say goodbye to my lovely panel. A big thank you to Oban, all the way from Cyprus.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for this lovely chat. And thank you for being such an amazing host, Elliot, and everyone on the chat. Love you all.
And just for that, you're going to have to come back. A big thank you to Martin from Let Me Be The One blog and radio show. Make sure you check him out every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for his radio show. Thank you as always, Martin.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the plug. And yeah, great show. And looking forward to seeing all of these in Liverpool.
Indeed, a big thank you to Sean. Thank you as always.
Thanks for having me. See you in 2 weeks if I'm not dead.
I hope not, but now I'm worried about what would actually happen in those 2 weeks. I'm not going to think about it. And a big thank you to Tristan as well for coming on this evening as well.
Yes, that's hope again. I hope to see some of you at the London Eurovision party next weekend. Can't wait.
And a big thank you to my co-host Tom, who's been looking after the chat room for me.
Pleasure as always, Elliot. And thanks to you as well. It's been a lovely show. It's getting close now, isn't it? The excitement's starting to build.
It is.
I'm very much looking forward to Amsterdam.
But yes, like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. We're taking next week off due to all the pre-parties going on. But as I said, we're going to finish off a semi-final 2 in 2 weeks' time, and then the big 5 and the Ukraine the week after that. So we're nearly at the end. But until then, look after yourself. If you are in Amsterdam or London, have a fabulous time. If you see any of us, do come and say hello. We don't bite, I promise. But until then, it's time to say goodbye. Until then, see you soon. Bye.